Okay, here is the coffee machine aisle. This is where I need your help. My old coffee machine finally broke this morning, so I need to buy a new one today.
I am sorry to hear about your old machine, but I am excited to help you choose a new one. A good coffee machine is a very important part of daily life. So, have you seen any that you like?
I have been looking online, and I have narrowed it down to these two models right here, but I am completely stuck. I cannot decide between them.
I see. This one here is a coffee pod machine, and that one is a bean to cup machine. They are very different. What is making the decision so difficult for you?
Well, the most obvious thing is the price. This pod machine is much cheaper than the bean-to-cup machine, but the bean-to-cup one looks much more professional and has more features.
That is the classic dilemma. The cheaper, simpler option versus the more expensive, advanced option. It can be a very difficult choice to make.
Exactly. My brain tells me to buy the cheaper one to save money, but my heart is attracted to the fancy one that looks like it belongs in a real Viennese coffee house. I need your logical mind to help me think clearly.
I would be happy to help you analyze the options. Let's not think about which one you want to buy right now. Let's just be detectives and gather all the information. We will compare them point by point.
Okay, let's start with the most obvious point of comparison. Like you said, the initial purchase price. Can you see the price tags?
I can. This pod machine, which we can call Machine A, is 99 euros.
99 euros. Okay, that is quite an affordable price for a new coffee machine. It is an attractive price. And what about the other one, the bean-to-cup machine, Machine B?
The price for Machine B is much, much higher. It is 399 euros.
Wow, that is a very big difference. It is exactly 300 euros more expensive than the pod machine. I can definitely understand why you are hesitating. That is a significant amount of money.
It is. For that price, it should make the best coffee in the world. My first instinct is just to take the cheaper one. 99 euros feels like a much more reasonable price to pay.
I understand completely. And for many people, the cheaper option is the right choice. However, the initial purchase price is only one part of the story.
What do you mean? What other parts are there?
We should also think about the long-term cost. The total cost of owning the machine is not just the price you pay today. It is also the cost of the coffee you will use every day for the next few years. We should compare the cost of the coffee for each machine.
The long-term cost of the coffee. That is a very smart way to think about it. I have never considered that before.
Let's investigate. Machine A, the cheaper one, uses these little coffee pods or capsules, right?
Yes, that is right. You put a little capsule in, press a button, and the coffee comes out.
Let's find where they sell the pods in the store. They should be right over here. Okay. Look at this box. This is a box of 10 coffee pods, and it costs 5 euros.
10 pods for 5 euros. So how do we calculate the cost for each coffee?
We just divide the price by the number of pods. 5 euros divided by 10 pods is 50 cents. So every single cup of coffee you make with Machine A will cost you 50 cents.
50 cents per cup. That does not sound too expensive. I probably drink 2 cups of coffee every day.
So that would be €1 per day on coffee pods. Now, let's look at the fuel for machine B. It uses whole coffee beans. Let's find the coffee beans section. Here we are. Look at this big bag of high-quality espresso beans.
This bag is 1 kilogram, which is 1,000 grams, and it costs 20 euros.
A typical cup of coffee uses about 10 grams of beans. So from this 1,000-gram bag, you can make about 100 cups of coffee.
100 cups of coffee from a 20 euro bag? So 20 euros divided by 100 cups, that is only 20 cents per cup.
Exactly! The coffee from the bean-to-cup machine costs less than half the price of the coffee from the pod machine. In the long run, machine B is actually much, much cheaper to use every day.
I am shocked. The cheaper machine makes more expensive coffee. That is a very clever business model. Okay, so in terms of long-term cost, the more expensive machine is the clear winner. Now, what should we compare next?
Let's compare the features of each machine and the convenience. This is where the pod machine, machine A, is very strong.
What do you mean by convenience?
It is incredibly simple and fast to use. You just put in a pod, press one button, and you have coffee in less than a minute. There is no mess and almost no cleaning. You just throw the used pod away. It is perfect for someone who is very busy in the morning.
I do like the sound of that. Simple, fast, and no mess. That is very attractive to me. Now, what about the features of the more expensive machine, machine B? It looks much more complicated.
It has more steps, but it is not as complicated as it looks. Its main feature is the built-in grinder. It grinds the fresh coffee beans for every single cup.
So the coffee is as fresh as it can possibly be. That is a great feature. What else can it do?
This model also has this steam wand on the side. This is a milk frother. It means you can make perfectly steamed, frothy milk for cappuccinos and lattes, just like in a coffee shop.
I can make my own cappuccinos at home? I love cappuccinos. The simple pod machine can only make black coffee, right?
That is correct. It can only make espresso or a longer black coffee. The bean-to-cup machine gives you many more options. You can also usually adjust the strength of the coffee, the temperature, and the amount of water. It gives you much more control. The fact that machine B grinds fresh beans and can froth milk leads us to our next point of comparison, the taste and the quality of the coffee.
I assume there is a big difference in taste.
I think so. Coffee tastes best right after the beans are ground. The flavor of pre-ground coffee, like the coffee inside a pod, is never as fresh or as complex as the flavor from freshly ground beans.
So the coffee from machine B will probably be more aromatic and have a richer flavor.
Exactly. You will notice a much bigger difference in the quality of the final drink. And as we discussed, you have the ability to make many different kinds of drinks. You can be your own barista.
I really like that idea. I spend a lot of money buying cappuccinos from cafes. If I can make them at home, that would also save me money in the long run.
That is another excellent point for the long-term cost calculation. The initial high price of machine B is starting to look more and more like a smart investment.
It is. The pod machine is very convenient, but it is also very limited. You can only make one type of coffee, and the taste is probably not as good. This is a very interesting comparison.
I have one more point to compare that you might not have thought about. Let's talk about the environmental impact of each machine.
The environmental impact? How can a coffee machine be good or bad for the environment?
It is not the machine itself, but the waste it produces. Think about the coffee pods for machine A. Every single cup of coffee you make creates a small piece of waste.
The little plastic or aluminum capsule? That is true. I would use 2 of those every day.
So that is more than 700 pods per year that you have to throw away. Some of them can be recycled, but it is a complicated process, and many of them just end up in the landfill. It creates a lot of unnecessary waste.
I never thought about that. 700 little pods of waste every year, just from my coffee. That is a very powerful thought.
Now think about the waste from machine B, the bean-to-cup machine. What waste does it produce?
Well, the coffee beans come in a bag, and after it makes the coffee, the only thing left is the used coffee grounds.
Exactly. And what are coffee grounds? They are just a natural, organic product. They are completely biodegradable. You can throw them in your compost bin, or you can even use them as a fertilizer for the plants in your garden.
So the only real waste is the one coffee bag. Compared to over 700 pods, the difference is huge. The bean-to-cup machine is much more environmentally friendly.
It is, without a doubt. For many people, this is a very important factor in their decision.
The environmental argument is very persuasive. So, machine B is cheaper in the long run, makes better coffee, and is better for the planet. Are there any other points to consider?
Let's consider the durability and the warranty of the machines. How long can we expect them to last?
That is a good point. I want a machine that will not break after just 1 year. How can we check that?
We can look at the information on the boxes. The manufacturer's warranty is usually a good indicator of the build quality. Let's look at the box for the cheaper pod machine. Machine A. Can you see the warranty information?
I can. It says right here, 1 year limited warranty.
1 year. That is quite standard for a small appliance like this. Now let's find the warranty information for the more expensive bean-to-cup machine.
I am looking at the box for machine B now. Let's see. Here it is. It says 3-year manufacturer's warranty.
3 years. That is much longer. A company is not going to offer a 3-year warranty unless they are very confident that their product is built to last.
So the longer warranty suggests that machine B is a higher quality, more durable product. It is made with better components and is expected to last for many years.
That is generally the case. The higher initial price often reflects a better build quality. So you are not just paying for more features. You are also paying for a more reliable and long-lasting machine. It is less likely to break down. Okay, I think we have gathered all the important information now.
We have been excellent detectives. Now, let's take a step back and summarize the pros and cons for each machine.
A summary is a great idea. It will help me see the whole picture clearly. You start with the pod machine, machine A.
Okay, machine A. The pros are it has a very low initial purchase price, only 99 euros, and it is extremely convenient, fast, and easy to clean. Those are strong advantages.
And what are the cons, the disadvantages?
The cons are the pods are very expensive, making the long-term cost much higher. The variety of coffee is limited to the pods the company sells. The taste is not as fresh as from a bean-to-cup machine. And it creates a lot of plastic or aluminum waste, which is bad for the environment.
That is a very clear summary. Now, let's do the same for the expensive machine, machine B. What are its pros?
The pros for machine B are the cost per cup of coffee is very low, saving you money every day. It uses fresh beans, so the taste is much better and more aromatic. It has more features, like the ability to make cappuccinos. It is much better for the environment. And it is a more durable, higher quality machine with a longer warranty.
That is a very long list of pros. It seems like it has many more advantages. What are its cons?
It really only has two main disadvantages. The first and biggest one is the very high initial purchase price of almost 400 euros. The second is that it requires a little more maintenance and cleaning than the pod machine.
Thank you so much for that summary. Seeing all the points laid out so clearly makes the decision so much easier.
So, have you made a decision? Which machine do you think is the right one for you?
I have. When I first saw them, I was almost certain I was going to buy the cheaper pod machine. The price difference seemed too big to ignore.
And now? What are you thinking now, after our investigation?
My thinking has completely changed. Our comparison has shown me that the cheaper machine is not really cheaper in the long run, and it has so many other disadvantages, especially the environmental impact and the limited coffee options.
So you are leaning towards the more expensive one?
I am. The bean-to-cup machine, Machine B, is a big investment up front. It is a lot of money to spend today, but I think it is a much smarter choice for the future. It is an investment in better taste, lower long-term costs, and a healthier planet. And I really, really want to be able to make my own cappuccinos.
I think you have made a very wise and well-reasoned decision. You have considered all the angles, not just the price tag.
Yes, I am going to buy Machine B. I will have to be careful with my budget for the rest of the month, but I know I will be happier with this choice every single morning when I drink my delicious, fresh coffee.
I am so proud of you for making such a thoughtful decision. You resisted the temptation of the easy, cheap option and chose the one that is better value in the long term.
I could not have done it without your help. You taught me how to think like a smart consumer, to look beyond the initial price and consider all the hidden factors like long-term cost, quality, and environmental impact.
You just needed a little guidance. You did all the thinking yourself. Now, do you need to find a store employee to get one for you from the stockroom? This is just a display model.
Yes, I will wave one of them over. I want a brand new, unopened box. I feel like a child on Christmas morning. I cannot wait to set it up when I get home.
The first cappuccino you make with it is going to taste like victory.
It definitely will, and I will have to invite you over for a coffee to thank you for being my shopping consultant today.
I would love that. I will be the first official guest at the Café del Speaker One.
It is a deal. Thank you again for everything. You turned a stressful decision into a really fun and interesting investigation.
Anytime. I love a good comparison. I am so glad I could help. Enjoy your new machine.